I need to do this video, and I realize before I even start this that some people are going to think that I'm a closeted homosexual for doing this video, but I feel like I need to do this video anyway. I'll tell you where the need for this video came from. And I've been meaning to do this video for a while. I've been chicken to do this video. Now I've been Christian since I was 17, so it's been 11 years now, and I accepted the teaching of homosexuality just from the church and from what the Bible says, what it seems to say in plain English, for most of those years. But then about a year and a half ago, one of my close friends from college, who I really felt a close bond with, he came out to me and he told me he was gay, which completely challenged my my way of thinking about this, and it made me unsatisfied with my previous understanding, what just what the English of the translated Bible seems to say. So I dug deeper. I did a lot of research. I read 5 books, numerous articles, and I'm going to share part of what I found with you here today on this video. It's going to be called Bible Homosexuality, Bible Gays, and we're gonna look into this to see what the cultural context. Bing! Cultural context. Cultural context is so important when it comes to the Bible, and some might say, well, you should just take it literally and take it word for word and believe it for what it says in plain English from what you understand. Like, no, we can't take our understanding of what we know in present day and apply it to the Bible that was written 2,000 years ago. If we did that, then women wouldn't be allowed to wear gold necklaces, a whole lot of things that we wouldn't be willing to do. For example, putting people to death for talking back to their parents. We have to look at the culture in which it was written and what it was written in response to, that was happening at the time that the Bible was written. So to start off, I like to start off with a little side note about Sodom and Gomorrah, as far as the old term sodomite. Now, sodomite, if you look into the background of Sodom and Gomorrah, if you research it, and I challenge you, please don't take what I'm saying at face value. Look into this yourself. Go on the internet, do a search. Just read as much as you can, because I think Christians need have a responsibility to look into this topic more than what we get from the surface of just what the Bible seems to say. Sodom, the word sodomite should not equal homosexual. The fact that the word sodomite has come to mean homosexual is based off a complete flawed logic of what Sodom was all about. And everyone thinks that Sodom was destroyed primarily because of the homosexuality that was taking place. If you look at various places in the Bible, Ezekiel is one of those. Look at this reference to Sodom as opposed to the original testament of Sodom. Sodom, it's also cross-referenced in the Bible a number of times, and this is just one example. Please do more research, but if you want to take this for my word for it, that's your business. But I challenge you to do more research on this. Look at Ezekiel 16 verses 49 through 50. Ezekiel 16 verses 49 through 50. That's a reference to Sodom, and it does not say anything about homosexuality. It talks about their mistreatment of strangers and other sin, but it does not speak of homosexuality. And why would it be referenced and not spoken of the main reason it was destroyed? Apparently, that's because it wasn't destroyed because of homosexuality. That's why. So Sodom is misunderstood. The word sodomite should not equal homosexual. That's a completely inane equation that shouldn't be in our vocabulary at all. Okay, to go to the next thing about the cultural context, about Paul's writings. Now, Paul in Romans makes a pretty blatant dissertation against homosexuality. It even describes the act in detail as to what's inappropriate and what's an abomination to God. And there it is right there. I'll put the verse up on the screen. And he pretty much condemns it outright. And it's a very strong statement. He calls it abomination. It's very strong language. So instead of assuming, like I did, that this is just talking about all homosexuals everywhere, and that every gay person that we see today is applicable to be equated with this condemnation, what we need to do is is ask ourselves, what is this said in reaction to? What was happening at the time that caused Paul to have such a strong statement against it? Now, some people speculate that Paul was a closet gay, and I think that's blasphemous. But it does touch on the idea that this is a reactionary statement, and that had to come from somewhere. And so that goes towards that direction. But I think that's completely misguided analogy of what's going on. So what I'm going to do, what I want to demonstrate in this video, is the concept of Bible homosexuality. What was going on at the time when the Bible was written, or the time specifically when Paul was writing his letters, and with homosexuality, what was the public perception of homosexuality? What were the things going on that were the best known among the public in reference to homosexuality? So let me lay this out for you. Number one, the first thing that needs to be noted about homosexuality in biblical times when Paul was writing his letters is that there was a phenomenon that was very common amongst Roman citizens, and that was the owning of small boys as sexual slaves by Roman citizens. And this was seen as completely acceptable by the majority of society back then. And it was child molestation, of course, and it was a form of male-to-male sexual relations. And so Paul was definitely aware of this, and at least in part, this harsh condemnation was in reaction to that. Now, the second thing was what really touched home to the Jews, to the Israelites, the hardest, as far as what would have caused a reaction from them to condemn homosexuality in such a harsh manner, and that is the practice of male temple prostitutes, and whereby these temples popped up in random places, and the Israelites would see this, no doubt, and they would have prostitutes employed by them. Sometimes they were female prostitutes, of course. That was more standard. But there was also male temple prostitutes of certain pagan deities, to where they would see that as a free token for sex for anybody that wanted to have it. That included married men. Married men could go to the pagan temple of worship. They could find a male prostitute, and then they could have sex with that male prostitute, and it was not seen as marital infidelity. It was not seen as cheating on your wife. It was not counted as anything but a spiritual act of worship, and it was completely dismissed by the majority of society back then. So we can see the problem there, and how that would especially touch home with the Jews, who saw this as idol worship, as apart from sexual perversion. It was idol worship. It was doing a disgusting act to appease some god that didn't exist, who took glory away from their God, Yahweh. And the whole philosophy behind it was that if you went to one of these temples and you had sex with one of these men, when you spewed your semen or whatnot into the male prostitute, that was seen as adding to the masculinity. That was like adding power, adding masculinity to the deity. It was like doing the deity a favor and giving the deity a part of yourself, and it was seen as a spiritual act of worship. And so this is most likely what Paul was reacting towards. This is probably what was primarily in his mind when he said these harsh words towards those who have homosexual inclinations.